Hey everyone, James Niggemeyer here. Thank you for tuning back into my YouTube channel. I am at a tournament and I'm rigging up some tackle, so I've got quite a bit of a mess and I only have a little bit of time. I'm trying to get it all knocked out before we have a meeting on the internet that goes over the event. Because of COVID and different things like that, we're not actually physically going to be there present all together, and this way we can all watch it online. When it comes to pegging weights, anything from a 3/4 ounce, 1 ounce, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, and all the way up to 2 ounce or even larger. You know, big tungsten weights like this, like a Strike King. I use the Strike King Tour grade tungsten weights, and this is a 1 ounce here. And I like to keep things simple in my fishing, but I definitely think there are times when you can go the extra mile just to get a little bit more advantage or maximize your tackle in certain situations. That being said, a lot of guys like to use a bobber stop, and I like a bobber stop myself. And what I mean by a bobber stop is these little plastic rubber bobber stops that you can buy that come in a pack. There's several different manufacturers that make them like this. I have some like that. I have some like that. Just different kinds. Some are just round, some are actually conical. But there are times when it's important to use a bobber stop, or I think it makes more sense to use a bobber stop. And then there are times when I feel like it's important to use kind of a one of these peggets. These I use the jumbo peggets. I use them for whenever I'm fishing with braided line. So want to go over my process that I do this. Here I've got my my weight, and I'm going to just take my pegget and put it in the backside. You can see it like that, and it starts coming out the front, and then I just start pulling it. Sometimes I even lubricate it some, but I pull it till it's nice and tight in there. Once it's nice and tight, then I'm going to pull it and cut it. I want to pull this piece out, and then I'm going to cut it so that it'll shrink back in. I don't want it sticking out in front of there because I find that it ends up getting caught on weeds, and I don't like that. I don't like weeds on the front of my bait. So go ahead and make that cut, and then I'll show you how I did that. Okay, so there's going to be a little piece that's left out in front, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull on this back portion to get it to recess and go flush with the hole. You got to be real careful because it'll be hard to get it to go, and there you go. And then sometimes if you pull too hard, it'll just slip right out, and you don't want that. So that's what I actually want. I actually want it nice and flush so weeds don't get caught on. There's already going to be some weeds that get caught between the line and the front of the weight. There's going to get some weeds that get caught, but if you have that extra pegget sticking out, even more will get caught. So you want to just get that. And then I'm going to do the reverse on the other side. I'm going to pull this and then trim it again. And then so now it's nice and flush. It's sticking out just a little bit, which is okay. Then I can, the thing I really like about the bobber stop or the rubber peggets is it's just, the weight stays right where it's at. And I like that. I feel like it can be real beneficial when you set the hook. And especially with your heavier weights, it can pry a fish's mouth open. But if you keep it all, because a lot of times if you'll notice, once you set the hook, your weight will slide up the line. Well, this won't allow that. It'll keep it right there in front of the hook, and it makes it almost like a jig, and I think that can be real beneficial. But there are times when I'm using like Braid Fluoro, like I'll tie an FG knot, I'll use a bobber stop. And so then I've got an FG knot, I've got 50-pound Strike King braid, 25-pound test gamma fluorocarbon, and then I've just got one of these conical shaped bobber stops in front. And that's because A couple of reasons. I don't like the bobber stop because if you jam that in there with fluorocarbon, I'm concerned about maybe it doing something to the line itself. Number one. Number two, when it comes to fluorocarbon, I'm a little funny. I don't like to snell. With braid, I snell, and so it works out just fine, and it works like a dream. But when I'm using fluorocarbon, I use a Eugene slip knot. I've done a video on the Eugene slip knot in the past. If you're not familiar with it, go check that out. I'll try to remember to put it in the description. I'll link it there if you want to go check that out. But I feel like the Eugene slip knot just really holds extremely well, have very little to none of break off issues. So I like the Eugene slip knot as opposed to a snell when it comes to fluorocarbon. So those are the two types of pegging systems that I use. Now obviously with this type of pegging system, you know, it doesn't keep the weight. Everything's got a little bit of a drawback. This is just the system that I've worked with over the years. Really like it. I feel like it serves me well. I have minimal issues with it, if I have any issues at all. But basically, to round everything up and recap, I use these rubber peggets, and I think Top Brass makes them, the jumbo pegget. I like those, and I use those for when I'm just using straight braided line and a snell knot. When I'm using fluorocarbon and I'm using like a Eugene slip knot or a Palomar or something like that other than a snell, then I definitely just go with a standard bobber stop type pegging system. So that's it, guys. Just a quick video, give you guys some ideas on what I'm doing. I hope all that you could see. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you have friends that might enjoy this video and get something out of it, go ahead and share it with them. I appreciate you guys tuning into my YouTube channel. And until next time, thanks for watching and good fishing.